A dimly lit stage is how we begin. Slowly, a spotlight shines on Ebenezer Scrooge, though it is not the old, bitter, miserable man we know from A Christmas Carol. This is a man in his late 20s to early 30s, a young, kind spirit. He speaks to the audience as we begin. I remember the last words my father said to me before his untimely passing. I was by his bedside in hospice. My dear little sister Fan was with our aunts and uncles. I could not even begin to have her be there for when father passed. It had been quiet for some time. Then, father beckoned me closer to him. He took my hands in his and said, Ebenezer, my son, take care of little Fan, dear little Fan. She is a delicate creature, your sister. Provide for her, protect her, make her happy. Promise me this, my son. From that day forward, I made that vow to myself that I would indeed provide for dear Fan, protect her from the evils of the world, and make her as happy as she always made me growing up. And for the first few years, it was just Fan and I. I kept my promise to my father. But I also recall the very first time where my having to protect her caused her unhappiness. I hated to do it, but it had to be done. It was a day or so before Christmas Eve when this event occurred. I was at my counting desk, going over paperwork for my employer, Mr. Fezziwig.
Ebenezer, dear brother, I must speak with you.
Goodness, little Fan, you look so excited. Whatever could the matter be?
Oh, Ebenezer, I have such wonderful news. I have been asked to the Christmas Eve ball. A boy approached me and asked to be my date.
That's wonderful, my dear. Who is this fine, lucky fellow,
Tom Dawkins is his name.
Tom Dawkins, eh? Ah, yes, I'm familiar with that name. His father, Clarence Dawkins. He's been a long-time client of Mr. Fezziwig.
Oh, Ebenezer, with your permission, of course. I'd like to go with Tom to the ball. I promise we shall both be on our best behavior, and I'll make sure he has me home at a reasonable hour.
Goodness. I'll be indisposed that evening with affairs of my own. You and Tom Dawkins at a party, eh?
Oh, dearest brother, please say yes. Oh, please, Ebenezer. Tom Dawkins is the kindest, sweetest, most handsome boy I've ever known. He makes my heart flutter just thinking about him. I feel he may be the boy I wish to grow old with. In fact, I've heard from various sources that Tom wishes to kiss me under the mistletoe that very night. Oh, it shall be my very first kiss, and with the most handsome boy in the city. Say yes, please. For me, it will make me the happiest girl alive. Please.
I can't possibly say no to you, little Fan. Yes, I grant you and Tom my full permission.
Oh, thank you, Ebenezer. Oh, you're wonderful, so wonderful.
But remember, as you put it best yourself, he is to be an absolute gentleman to you. I don't mind him giving you a kiss under the mistletoe, but after that, I don't want to hear a word of him being fresh to you in any way.
I'll make sure of it.
And he will indeed bring you home at a reasonable hour. You're not a baby anymore, but you're still a young lady. I will not have you brought home at an ungodly hour, even if it is Christmas Eve.
I shall tell him that very thing the next time we speak.
Very well, then. Here's a little bit of money. Run along with your girlfriends and pick out the finest dress you can find. You're already beautiful enough, but I want to see you in the most beautiful attire as well.
I shall, and I shall also tell them what a sweet, caring, kind brother I have. The greatest brother a girl could ever ask for. Ta-ta, Ebenezer.
Ta-ta, little Fan. Ah, yes, there I was, feeling quite happy for my dear Fan. She had herself an admirer, a future courter. It did my heart good to think about it. She was growing up now. I was very excited for my sister. That is, until later that day, when I ventured out into town to run a few errands in between my work, and came upon a most interesting conversation. Lights out, brief scene change. Ebeneezer strolls out onto the stage as we hear the sounds of hustle and bustle, people talking and walking about. Three boys, similar in age to Fan, all three well dressed, come walking out on the other side, talking excitedly.
So what say you, Tom? You've got a date for the Christmas Eve ball, huh?
As a matter of fact, I do. What about you two?
I do. Lucinda Miller.
Annabelle Stevens for me.
Well, mine tops you both. I'm escorting a certain Miss Fan Scrooge.
Ebeneezer stops in his tracks. It has to be Tom Dawkins who just said that. He stands in the shadows and cocks his ear to listen as the two boys gather around Tom.
Tom, have you gone mad? Fan Scrooge?
That annoying, overly excited shrew.
The very same.
What would possess you to do such a thing? Oh, saints in heaven. You don't mean to tell me Cupid's arrow has pierced your heart, that you've gone gaga for that thing, have you?
Oh, Lord, no, fellows. It's something else. Something I think you'll find quite funny. I found her, lads. Found our fool.
You don't mean.
Our Queen of Christmas Fools, yes.
Ebeneezer angrily frowns, but keeps to the shadows in order to hear more of what is going on as the three boys cackle with glee.
And here I thought we wouldn't have a fool this year.
What makes her qualified to be a Christmas fool, Tom?
Isn't it obvious? Fan Scrooge is, quite possibly, the most cheerfully annoying goody two-shoes silly cow I've ever laid eyes upon. Such a sickeningly sweet nature. Have you ever listened to her prattle on? Oh, goodness me, what a lovely day. I'm so very, very happy. It grates on the ears.
I'll say it does.
And the way she follows you around like a lovesick fool.
Exactly. She's always giggling at me, waving at me, wanting to go on walks with me. Goodness, I'd be marked in the street if I were to be seen with her for more than a few minutes. Oh, dear Tom, may I join you on your walk? I'd really, really love it. So it got me thinking. What better way to show that girl what a fool she is by crowning her the Queen of Christmas Fools? So putting on my most dashing and voice and personality, I asked her, Dear Fan, with your brother's permission, might I have you on my arm for the Christmas Eve ball? Oh, she shrieked and giggled like such a loon. Oh, goodness, Tom, yes. 100 times yes. 1,000 times yes. So gathering close, you two, here's what I intend to do. I've dropped hints to Fan that I'm going to kiss her under the mistletoe at the ball. So, when I lead her towards it that night, you two following close. I shall stop her right under it. And when I say the words, beautiful, sweet Fan, close your eyes, my dear. I have a surprise for you. Just as she puckers up, we'll douse her in the punch they serve there. Throw some candies on her. Surely they'll stick to her because of the punch. And give her the crown as Queen of Christmas Fools. That foolish girl won't know what hit her.
Tom, that plan of yours?
It's brilliant. It's ingenious.
It's my sister you wish to humiliate. The color drains from the faces of the three. Tom turns and faces Ebeneezer, who walks with a quiet though angered calm towards him.
Uh-oh. Let's get out of here.
Stay here and help me, you cowards. Hello, Miss Ebeneezer.
Mr. Scrooge to you. I may not be elderly, but I'm still your senior. Young Tom Dawkins. Did my ears deceive me? You intend to put my sister through a humiliating act such as that? Because I must tell you, my fine fellow, I don't quite think it's funny. In fact, it's downright despicable. My sister came to me, all excited and aflutter, about going to this ball, mostly because she was going to be on your arm. The arm of a young man who, so I thought, was kind, intelligent, had a good head on his shoulders, but it appears I was wrong.
Look, Mrs. Scrooge, it was a...
What? Come, Mr. Dawkins, use your words, boy. It was a what?
It was just a joke is all. A silly little thing. I was just saying that to humor the other fellows. I wasn't gonna...
To me, it sounded quite sincere. I think perhaps you'd better set about finding yourself another date, because Fan will not be attending the ball, especially if you're going to be there.
What? But wait a second, you can't just...
Do that? Oh, but I just did. You see, as her elder brother and her closest male guardian, I have every right to do that. Now, be lucky I don't inform your father of what you plan to do. I've heard from more than one person he's a very strict man. Not to mention he is a supporter of the women's suffrage movement. I think it would bring great shame, not to mention anger, to him if he were to find out his son was preparing to try and humiliate an innocent young girl.
You wouldn't tell, would you?
I might. I might not. That's up to how you react to what I'm about to say next. Call off your date with Fan, and never, ever string her along in such a way again. If I find out that you again try to hurt her, or embarrass her, or humiliate her in any way, I shall not be as nice. Do we have an understanding, Mr. Dawkins?
Yes,
Yes, what?
sir. Yes, sir.
Good. Now get out of my sight. Tom stammers and nods, then hurries off. Ebeneezer shakes his head and turns to the audience, a spotlight on him, as the scene quickly changes behind him. Can you believe that conniving snake was trying to concoct such a plan? To humiliate my dear sister? Well, here I thought I had nipped that in the bud, that I had navigated this little incident without a mistake. But as it turns out, my good intentions backfired on me, at least at first. Ebeneezer is focused on counting the money on his desk and writing down figures, so he does not see Fan enter the room. Her sweet, adoring smile is now replaced by a look of anger. She marches over to the desk and stands before it. Fan, I don't have time to chat. I have to get these numbers done for Mr. Fezziwig.
We need to talk. Now.
I shall be done in about an hour. Then I'll be able to... Before Ebeneezer can finish, Fan angrily sweeps her hand across the table, scattering money and papers about. Ebeneezer stands in shocked anger. Have you gone mad? What on earth is the matter with you? I was in the middle of balancing the books for Mr. Fezziwig.
Did you speak to Tom Dawkins at all? Did you confront him in the street earlier today?
I'm afraid I've no idea what you mean, Fan.
He approached me and told me our date was off. He was going to find another girl to go with. One who doesn't have a crazed older brother who wishes to do harm to me.
I had a feeling he wouldn't keep our conversation to himself.
So you did speak to him? Ebeneezer, how could you? Tom Dawkins now refuses to be in the same room as me. He won't so much as look at me. What did you say? What did you say?
I thought that boy would have the decency to tell you the truth, but it looks like he didn't. Fan, there's an explanation if you'll just let me tell you what happened.
Spare me your excuses. Admit it. You just can't stand the thought of my having a date for Christmas Eve just because you didn't. You were going to Mr. Fezziwig's party alone, if I recall.
Don't be absurd. I would never do such a thing as to sabotage your personal life just because I didn't have a companion for Christmas.
Well then, what was it? Huh? Why did you feel the need to scare away the most handsome boy I've ever laid eyes on from me? A boy who was set to give me my first kiss. A boy who could have possibly been the one. he very well could have started courting me, and we could have been engaged in a few years' time if things went well.
Oh, for heaven's sake, you foolish thing. He was set to trick you.
Excuse me?
Trick you. I came across him and two of his little toady yes-men plotting about you. They planned to crown you the Queen of the Christmas Fools.
The what?
Apparently it's some kind of tradition. They find someone who they consider the most gullible and foolish, and pull a trick on them on Christmas Eve. They crown someone the King or Queen of the Christmas Fools. They plan to humiliate you at that party. He didn't ask you to be his date out of anything other than spite and malice. It's a good thing I stumbled upon them when I did, or else Christmas Eve would have been a disaster for you.
Liar.
What?
You're a liar, and a bad one at that. Someone would have told me of such deception if that was to happen, but I was not given any such warning. No, I really do think it was jealousy. You just couldn't stand to be alone while I had a date for Christmas. So you threatened and scared Tom Dawkins away.
I'm not about to talk about this till I'm blue in the face. If you think that, fine. Think that. But I know what I heard. Now, help me get these coins, papers, and money off the floor. I should let you do it yourself since you made the mess, but I'll assist.
Do it yourself, you ogre, you beast, Ebenezer Scrooge. I hate you, despise you. I shall never speak to you again as long as I live.
That will be quite hard to do, considering you live under this roof with me.
I shall find a way to do so without speaking a word to you.
Very well. If that's how you wish to react, especially when I was trying to protect you, fine. As I said, you're not a baby. You're allowed to make such decisions. Fan storms off as Ebenezer sighs and quietly scoops up some of the coins and papers from the floor and places them back onto the desk. Soon, he speaks. She could be as stubborn as a mule, but I admit she kept her word of not speaking to me. For the rest of the day, and well into the next, Fan uttered not a word, not so much as a sound. She wouldn't even look at me. It broke my heart to see my usually sweet, good-natured sister so angry at me. But deep down, I knew I had done things the right way, so I didn't lash out at her. A brief blackout, then lights up. Fan is seated in a chair, seemingly deep in thought. Ebenezer quietly walks over to her and stands before her. Fan eyes him for a moment, then frowns and turns away. Hello, my dear. I know you're angry at me, and you're still not speaking to me. And that's fine. But I must tell you, Mr. Fezziwig and his wife are coming by for dinner later tonight. So, while you don't need to speak to me, I'd advise you, please be courteous to Mr. and Mrs. Fezziwig. They've not done anything to deserve a cold, nasty attitude. I'll let you pick out a dress to wear for when they arrive. You always do have a keen eye for clothing. Just be ready to greet them with me promptly at 8 o'clock. Okay? Fan? Little Fan? What's wrong? Why are you crying so? Fan, please, talk to me. What's wrong? You're not doing this for no reason, I know it.
You were right.
What?
You were right, Ebenezer. Tom Dawkins, he was set to trick me. Set to humiliate me at the ball.
How did you find out?
Some of the other girls told me, as a warning, while I was out fetching food for the household. They told me that Tom swore them all to keep it a big surprise, but bless them, the girls wouldn't do it. They told me Tom doesn't like me. Not one bit. He was just stringing me along to make a fool of me. The kiss he planned under the mistletoe was where he was going to trick me. Oh, Ebenezer, you were right. I was wrong.
Anne, darling, there's no right or wrong between us here. I just cared that this deception was found out and you didn't get your heart broken.
I may not have gotten my heart broken, but my heart suddenly hurts right now.
Oh, dear sister.
Tom Dawkins, he thinks I'm ugly and a burden. He can't stand the sight of me. The other girls all said so. I can't believe, even for a moment, that Tom Dawkins truly thought me beautiful. I was such a fool. I'm ugly. I always have been, and always will be. No boy wants to be with me.
Don't you say such a thing. Fan, you are not ugly, not a burden. You are a wonderful, beautiful, kind, sweet young lady, and I couldn't ask for a better sister. Nothing in this world would change that.
Truly, dear brother?
Truly, little Fan. Fan smiles through her tears and hugs Ebenezer gently and lovingly. He hugs her back.
I'm sorry I even thought for a moment that you were jealous.
It's fine, my dear, it's fine.
Forgive me, dear brother, for not speaking to you last night, and how utterly rude and cold I acted. It was despicable of me.
There's no need for that. At the time, you simply thought differently. I know what it's like to be in love and then face heartbreak. Trust me. I know things might seem bleak now, but someday, perhaps soon, perhaps when you're a few years older, some lucky fellow is going to come into your life and fall madly in love with you.
You really think so?
Of course. And I will be there to walk you down the aisle to give you away to that lucky fellow, whomever it may be. And I'll cry tears. Not sad ones, but happy ones. Happy because you're happy. Because I provided for you, protected you, and made you happy. Just as you've made me happy, my dear little Fan.
Oh, I don't deserve a brother as wonderful as you.
Ah, but you're wrong. You deserve that and more. You deserve the world. And no matter what, I shall make sure you have it. The two wordlessly, silently hug one another. It is the hug of a brother and sister who truly, deeply care for one another. It is family.